a lot of people don't know they actually have riches, right? They have assets because being in real estate, this particular year, I think I did about 5 different probates. And it's amazing to me when family are there and they know that they have wealth and they didn't, I don't know, people just don't think anything's going to happen to them. And when it happens, it happens. And the few probates I did, they were actually prolonged sickness, and yet nobody put together a protection for their children and grandchildren that they want. All right, so let's talk about how do we protect our asset, right? Very, very, especially in the Black community, we don't, it's really prevalent that, you know, I've dealt with probate. I mean, I've dealt with trust sales, and trust is basically somebody's done it right, and boom, you know, who's gonna get the property, who's gonna get the proceeds, it's lined up, it's beautiful. You know, it just goes on like that. Then when you go into probate, and we're gonna talk about that, what that means later on. So let's get started. My attorney partner was not able to make it, you know, so we took a picture off of the screen. I'm just gonna push through. However, I will make note of her name and contact if anybody wanted to contact her later on, okay? I actually have a few trust attorneys that's helped me with this presentation. So I always like to hear case by case to know who to direct people to, all right? First of all, I want to encourage you to stay to the end. This is going to be a short presentation, so we're going to move through pretty quickly. And if you stay through the end, we're going to have a raffle drawing, and you know, you'll get a gas card to Costco. I think that's been pretty cool. When people go to Costco, they get more for their gas, right? All right. Okay. All right, my name is Gary Nix with the Gary Nix team. Been a broker for almost 15 years. I've been in investment for over 20 years of my life. So, and I've made some good investment and made some not so good investment, right? That's how we all fall forward. It's okay. When you're investing, you know, that's what it is, you know. You try to put the numbers right, and sometimes you get it right, and you know, very few times you miss it. But don't let that debar you from creating a big life. Okay, so that's me right there. I think I look better in the picture now. I'm not a natural life. Okay, let's move on and talk about this asset, how to protect our asset. So first of all, I want to have us identify wealth. Again, this is an audience participation. What do we assume wealth to be? Can anybody share? All right, don't be shy, people. So here's the thing: we get up every day in our life, and we walk. We go to work. You know, some of us work from home. Some of us go to work somewhere. But all of our life is to acquire stuff, right? It starts with very little stuff, like you're buying clothes, right? Especially women, jewelry is where they build a lot of asset, right? You see some women, you know, really freak out if somebody come to their house, they're not there because they know they have asset in their jewelry, you know, the jewelry box. Some jewelry box is worth $1 million, right? So that's asset that you're building. You know, clothes is not really asset, but if you're buying like expensive, you know, bags or shoes, those are some form of asset. It's good to know them. Of course, the first one we start with is our savings, right? You work, you make money, you spend money, and you put some on the side. That's your savings. And you start with that. And if you get smarter or you are in the right place, a lot of corporation will set you up on a 401k or 403k. They may match you, they might, some matches you, some give you 10% on whatever you put into it. And even if you don't get anything but just what you put into it, it's still putting money away, right? And then as you get better with that, you go into buying stocks. You know, I know people who make really good money on stocks and they really stay on it day in, day out. I've got some friends that their full-time job is just to watch stocks every day from their house. And they're making a really good living where they can go on vacation when they want to, right? So that's how you build stock, you know, you build asset, you know, your bonds, you know, whatever that may be. And then you buy a house, right? That's usually the biggest moving asset most people have, right? Why is that? Because, well, it's a livable thing, right? You're living in it, and before you know, underneath you is grown. You have 100,000, 200,000. I've sat down with people that bought a house. I remember this couple a few years ago. They bought a house originally for 35,000. And we're looking at it now, it's 1.7 million, you know. So, you know, that's asset that you build. So, and if you have multiple of this, the goal obviously is to have multiple chain of assets. And by the way, your insurance is an asset. Even if it's a term insurance just means that when you die, there's allocated amount of funds that goes to your family, right? You have a whole life insurance. That gives you more over your living period. I know myself and my wife, when we first set up our insurance, you know, I don't know, a long time ago, I did a term insurance. I wish I had learned better and put a whole insurance, whole life insurance. So for my kids, that's what I did. And I've given to them, we bought that insurance for them, like, you know, a long time ago too for them. So as they grow, it wasn't for much like we did for ourselves, because, you know, we were looking at real estate. If, you know, we die, and, you know, at least something that can pay off the real estate, you know, for us. But for the children, even if it's 200,000, 300,000, you put in, those are assets. We need to identify these assets, right? It may just be, you know, a car is an asset. It's not a great asset because, you know, by the time you pay off a car, most cars, when you pay it off, it's worth less than what you originally paid for it. You know, now just looking at, I had a Toyota Sienna that I bought like $60,000. And somebody was asking me like, hi, do you still have that? I said, no, I sold it. When I sold it like 5 years ago, I got $6,000 for that thing. However, if you have those classic cars, those have a lot more value to them. It's knowing the kind of asset you have and taking inventory of them. Really, every account you have is an asset. Every checking account, savings account that you have, I don't know, all this different kind of money market account and all that stuff, it's all asset. Okay. Why is this thing not, oh boy. Okay. Why is my, okay. So all of that equals the wealth, right? That's how you build your wealth together. You know, all these different ways you acquire stuff, and that's how you acquire wealth. And if we take inventory of it, you'll be surprised that, oh my God, I am worth this much more. So, and of course, over time, our inventory grows, right? It grows from little to much. And the key thing is wherever we are in our life, and really it's wise to take, always take this inventory count every year, literally every year. So you see where you are. And sometimes some things have cropped up that you didn't have before, that's growing for you. You could have bought, you know, Apple account or Amazon account, all of a sudden that thing is growing, for you. A lot of people make money with Tesla and them, right? So this is just showing you all these assets, that grows up to mighty amount of dollars, right? Okay. So when we have these dollars, what do we do with them? We need to know how to protect them. And this is the really core of this conversation, that how do we protect what we have? And I'm going to tell you, the first thing you want to do, I'm sorry, this. Okay, so, okay, we build this tree of wealth. All right, all right. All right, so we want to talk, about a living trust. Why should we consider a living trust? Because obviously you're still alive, and you want to set up a trust to protect what you have. Once you take inventory of everything you got, you want to, a will is okay. I think I had a time where I actually, a will gives your intention, but a will can be contested. So a will enough alone by itself is not enough, unless in that will you literally mention everything in there. I've had people that had a will, and when we are selling their property, even though they, allocate that property to somebody, it can be challenged, and we have to go back to probate. Or they say, somebody put in their will, my house to go to so person, but they didn't put the address of the house in there, and that's going to be challenged, and you have to go to probate for that. So a trust, first of all, trust make you to identify everything and what there are. A will is a page that you write as to what you intend to do. So in order to avoid probate, and we're going to talk about what a probate is and what a process is in a little bit. So far, does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. All right. So why do we want to set up a trust? Really thing is you want to avoid government from dictating how your assets will be distributed, and to whom it goes. And it also reduces the chance of family members fighting with each other. And you would not believe this. I mean, even siblings, oh my God, I just finished a probate. Even after I finished the probate, they were still fighting. And we had to fight because the house was in a reverse mortgage. And after the parent died, the reverse mortgage wants to claim their money, but there was still a lot of asset available. So I was able to point that out to the family. They're like, okay, we'll agree to that. And I'm like, look, I need you guys, if you contest this thing, the reverse mortgage company is gonna foreclose on the home, and you guys will lose $300,000 of wealth that you're supposed to have. So I got them to agree to that. Allocate one of the siblings to be the administrator. But my God, it was a referee from the beginning to the end. And even when we closed the property, the money today, that was a year ago, the money is still staying in the account, luckily for them, because there can be an agreement with these 6 children. It's like the boys against the girls, Lord. And these are old folks too. So it can be strenuous. I know I used to get calls from every member of the family. I was so glad when that thing was done, at least on the real estate side. Like, you guys could do your fight. They are hiring different attorneys. The money is going to be gone before they allocate it. But that's why a trust is so good. If the owner set up a trust, and all of this squabbling will stop, then everybody just playing to the trustee, you know. So and really avoiding probate is the matter. And we're going to talk and learn about what that process could look like, okay? And what is a probate? You know, this is where the court decide who receives what assets, right? Creditors are encouraged to file claim against the estate. So what is an estate, by the way? Let me just kind of give you guys an idea of that. Again, even if you didn't set it up in the beginning, once that person passed, then the court determined the estate that that person have. If they have an insurance, life insurance, they have, you know, whatever work insurance they have, whatever savings they have. Again, basically, they're gonna look at all the asset and the property. So when you go into probate, and you'll see how it can be very costly, because it's not just paying an attorney $5,000 retaining fee or $10,000 retaining fee. The court, you know, allocate some part of that wealth to the attorney, and you know, it's based on the estate. It's not just like, okay, oh, we're selling $1 million home. Well, if the estate is 1.8 million, you're gonna pay the attorney on a percentage of that, right? And you know, if it takes longer, you know, it just costs more, you know. So probate fees are set by law and based on the gross value of the asset, the estate, right? I believe, you know, it's like 2% for the first 100,000, and then 1% for every 100,000 after. And I've seen some estate that's 4 million, you know, and you just pay that, you know, straight up. Not to talk about, you know, the realtors is selling your property. And probates can take long because most probates are contested and heavily contested. Like the one I just went through, I was just describing. So they can take a long process, you know, with even the, sometimes you hear like this person never pay any attention to the family, and now that the parent died, they're coming in to collect. I remember one of my old neighbors, an old Jewish lady. Now I used to wonder, like, don't you have any kids, Miss Helen? And I used to go over to her house, you know, to help her every and then. And she said she does. Now she has a daughter that lives out of state, who's a principal and stuff like that. That one and her husband will come, you know, every so often, maybe 3 years or so, to come see her. And she's an old lady; she can barely move. But my God, as soon as she died, she always told me she had a son that lives in Torrance, right? The guy never showed up to see the mom. Even when she was in the hospital, you know, I'm a neighbor, and I'm the one that you know, make a call in. But as soon as the mom died, this dude shows up, and it was all over the asset. I'm like, wow. And he lives, you know, I mean, Torrance can be more than 5 miles away from the mom. It never showed up, at least in the 5 years I know that woman. You know, so it's unbelievable. So anyway, disputes and litigation are very common because of this. Because, you know, one person that did not show any intention for the person, all of a sudden, a document comes up, and they are now the one that wants to take over the asset. Matter of fact, as a probate that's going on that I know of right now, and the lady came to me and said, Gary, you know, I took care of this person as a caregiver, but I became the family, the only family he knew. And the guy passed like 15 years ago, and she's been, the guy, you know, she moved into the property, and the guy left everything for her. Well, come to find out, there was a foster child that he had, and I just happened to take a look at the tax record and the title report, and he had do a quick claim for the child, for this foster child, like 20 years ago, but he pulled it back, which is not something he could have done, because the child left him and, and didn't know anything. So we reached out to this person, and once she find out, oh my God, she came with an attorney to take over. Like, no, the paperwork shows I am the person, I'm taking over. Oh, it's unbelievable. And this person has been living in the house for the last 15 years, paying the taxes, taking care of the place, thinking, this is my place. Numbers can change unless somebody set up a trust, really. Okay, so how do you avoid probate? Because this is the drama we do not want to get into, and we want to see how can we avoid it to not put ourselves, children or grandchildren in scramble. Well, you establish a living trust while you are alive, right? And we're going to talk about what a living trust is and the different forms of living trust. You got to know who you are, where you are, and who you can really trust, right? Some people don't have their family be the trustee. They trust their friend, their co-worker that they've worked together. You have to just look at yourself. I remember watching this movie with a lady from Grey's Anatomy. I forgot her name, the blonde lady there. This movie that she and their friend, who's like really well-to-do, doing well, this couple, they have a little baby. And really from the get-go, when they just had their little baby, they just got married and they set up a trust and they put both of their friends as the co-trustee. The husband put his best friend and the wife put her best friend as co-trustee. Unfortunately, they had an accident when they went on a trip, and both of them died in the accident. And they had a little baby that they just had, whom they left with their friend to babysit their baby. So thank God that baby did not die. But they set up a trust who's going to manage it. And the movie was all about the two people cohabitating, taking care of this girl and taking care of all this asset. So, very interesting movie to watch. I forgot the name, but so getting back to establishing a living trust. What is that? I want to kind of give you an idea of some of the propositions we have and how it relates to helping us with, when we set up a trust. So Proposition 19, it talks about the date of the death is the transfer date. Change of ownership must be reported within 150 days, and children must make their parents resident their own personal residence. Again, it doesn't have to be parent. It can be anybody that, puts you in the trust. And the children can receive an adjusted property tax base equal to the parents' basis plus no more than $1 million exemption, which is subtracted from the whole thing. How does that work? So if, let's say at the time the parents bought the property was $700,000, the fair market value at the date of death is 1.7 million, right? This is why one of the biggest assets we all have is homes. So acquiring homes is really a good thing, not just because I'm a realtor, but really it's a very good thing because that's how you build wealth. So adjusted basis is 700 plus that 1 million. So you have an exemption of that 1.7 million. So no matter what they pay for it, no matter how it increased in value, you get protection for all of that. If you sell that, you lose, you pay no taxes. I mean, my neighbor sold, I had a neighbor that he was a single man, he died, he left his trust to his brother. His brother came from Colorado, collect $850,000. And it's like, do I need to pay taxes on this? I said, no. So, oh my gosh. The guy lives in a ranch in Colorado. $800,000 it took with him. That's a blessing. No contest, no nothing. That's what I'm talking about when you set it up right. Okay, so let's see. Now, on the other hand, if again the property tax base is 700,000, at the time of the parent's death is, let's say it's $2 million. I just want to know you only protected up to $1 million over that amount, which is a great amount of money, right? So let's say if it's $2 million, now again you have the same protection of 1.7, the original 700 plus $1 million that the state gives you. So if it's $2 million, now you're going to pay the tax base on the 700,000 plus the 300,000. So basically, you're paying a tax base on $1 million when you take over. All right. So that's still pretty good. You know, in a $2 million sale, you're only paying taxes on 300,000, which is about 25% of that. Right. Okay. So how to set up the trust? And this is where a lot of people delay their thing on doing it, right? They have intention to do it. Now, I'm going to share a really close story because I've been doing what I do for a little while, and it's about helping people to build wealth. Literally, I believe about 2 years ago, I got a call from one of you in what we call our database. It's a brother I know, and he said, Gary, you know, I'm really sick. I took a trip out of the country. I came back, and the whole doctors have been doing all kind of tests on me. They can't find anything what's wrong with me, but I've lost a lot of weight. You know the guy, we used to go to gym together. So I asked him, I said, hey, my friend, do you have a trust set up? He said, no. I said, I'm really going to encourage you to do so and do it quickly. I connect him with an attorney to call, and I quickly called the attorney to call him. But I guess when I talked to him, he had, you know, a little time where he can talk, and then he got really sick in the hospital. Well, unfortunately for this guy, he did not get a chance to set that up, and he passed away. This guy owns a market center, a shopping center in Gardena, and he owns a couple of fourplex in Hawthorne. And you know, I know he has 2 kids out of the country, and at least the mother of those kids, which is a young lady, is, you know, is a seasoned guy like myself, and it's a young lady. And I mean, I sent some money when I find out somebody that's trying to take care of those kids. I sent some money of my own to them to help. But what I know is up to today, I don't know what the end of it is, but his family and his kids have not getting access to his money. His brothers are here, have been fighting all over this asset. And this is why it's so big to set up this trust. You know, so we can't promise tomorrow. We need to do it today. Okay, so let's talk about how, of course, the quickest way to do is to hire a professional and getting it done. You set up an appointment with an attorney. They go over all your assets. They will make you identify it quickly, and they will put together really a pretty high ironclad paperwork that nobody can mess with. Right? If you say, you know, because an attorney is going to cost you $2,500, you know, to $5,000. This is the norm. Okay. If you say no, I don't want to afford that. Well, go to LegalZoom. Right. Most of you know LegalZoom. You can, you know, be a member for $15. They'll set it up. You know, you probably spend like $700, $650 to $700. They will still set it up. They'll put the paperwork. If you answer the questions right, you'll have something set up for you. It's still pretty ironclad, especially if you notarize everything that they send to you. They're not going to help you finish it up. That's why an attorney will finish everything up for you. LegalZoom will not do that, but they will send you all the paperwork, and then you just got to finish it up. That's where most people lack. I've seen people where they have the thing drawn, but it wasn't executed at the time of death. All we have is paperwork, and the court will not accept that, right? So, and just to tell you the truth, if you're really savvy and you know the computer well, you can set up a trust for yourself. Luckily, I had a client that they had, it's a complicated situation, but I basically had to help them set it up, set up a trust to stop a foreclosure from happening for them. Because somebody, they had gone to a company, it was pretty messy, but I had to figure out, like, okay, you do this, we do this, you know, we send that to the foreclosure company, it will take it out of the trust and put it back into your hands, and where you can be protected differently. So it can be done by yourself. It's just you have to know everything you're doing. The first way is to go to the attorney. Second way is to go to LegalZoom and then just execute the papers they give you. All right. So let's talk about the types of trust you can establish, right? Number one, we say it needs to be a living trust, right? And then your living trust is either a revocable or irrevocable living trust. Let's identify the definition for all of this, right? Okay, so with living trust, it's a legal document that places your assets, investment, bank accounts, real estate vehicles, and valuable personal property in trust for your benefit during your lifetime, and spells out where you like these things to go upon your death. Simple, okay? That's your living trust. Now, can it be revocable or irrevocable? If you know who's around you, and if you know your situation is not good, because sometimes you want to protect, maybe you want to set up your trust for your grandchildren because you don't like whatever your children are doing, and you want to put it for the. I've had that happen where I know a young lady that a grandmother left a triplex in Hermosa Beach for her. I mean, she just came out of high school, and the grandmother didn't leave it for the parents because the parents were not doing what the grandmother wants them to do. So left it for the granddaughter. This girl, you know, we put that property on sale. It's like a $1.7 million property, all cash, belongs to her. And, you know, I mean, she started a whole life. So it's just allocating what you want and who you want it to go to. So if it's irrevocable, it means it's a legal document that places, again, the grantor's assets into a trust during their lifetime and then distribute them to the heirs or beneficiaries after the death. The grantor can change or cancel the trust while it's still alive. So this gives you the right, like, okay, if this person ain't acting right, I don't like to put my family on the hot seat, but my son is not doing what I want him to do right now. So I change the trust. Like, no, until you get it right, I'll change it back. And it's just a big fight with me and my wife because she just believes in our children. I'm like, no, they should not just be granted. They have to hone it, right? So that's what that is. It gives you the right to change it, you know, and you can give your children or grandchildren second chances, right? Okay, I'm gonna give you this chance. You know, you get it done right, I will change it. Now, on the other hand, you can do irrevocable trust. That means it's a ironclad. What you set up is what you set up, and nobody can change it. Even you cannot change it, right? Until you die. And again, you do this if you know, if you have an illness or something like that, you can change your stuff to irrevocable trust because now you know nobody can swing anything on you because you won't believe how families are, how they are. It's just remarkable how people come. Families are, how they are. It's just remarkable how people come out of the, when there's wealth that they want to challenge or they think it's theirs or not. It's unbelievable how, people can change on that. So it's really important to set it up right, know who's, and I've had some people as a trust. I remember a doctor, his doctor friend was his trustee, and he was the trustee to the doctor friend. He unfortunately died while having an operation done. So I remember talking to his friend and say, okay, this is how we're going to execute this trust. And he said, I need to change my trustee now. I got to find somebody else to replace my friend that was my trustee. So it's knowing that, right? Any questions? Okay, let me stop the share so maybe everybody can see my face. All right. Questions, anybody? I just want to get, everybody's point of view. Maybe you've had an experience, because this is where it's really good to share with people, right? If you've had an experience where things didn't go right or one left, is anybody have anything to share on that? Okay, all right. This is always a fast one. I know that, because it's information that we are taking in, and we are digesting that information, like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. So I quite understand, but I hope we also the value of setting up this protection of our asset. And don't think you don't have, even if you don't have a home, you don't have an asset. Your jewelry's asset. You may have a stock. You may have a 401k. People will fight like hell for $100,000. Much less $500,000 retirement fund. And your insurance. Most people forget their asset as their insurance, because if you have an insurance, a life insurance of 500,000, and even if you don't have anything else, and this is the key thing where we all have wealth, it's just identifying what we have, right? And if we don't, we have an opportunity to do that, because you can get a term life insurance for 200,000, paying $29 a month. You just create a wealth, for yourself and your a legacy behind. And you can get a $500,000 life insurance for $80 a month. It's worth having these things because it leaves something behind, especially for those people you want to have taken care of. I mean, most of I have a daughter that's very challenging. She's got she has sickle cell crisis, which is huge to maintain. And then she's got all this physical paralysis and all that stuff. So yeah, I got to set up something for her because she's still my daughter at the end of the day, right? You still always pray as a parent that your children outlived you, right? So you got to have somebody. If you are gone, yeah, I'm taking very good care of. Oh Lord, you don't need to tell me. I know I'm an awesome dad. I take very good care of her. And I'm not bashful about that at all. I can literally take care of her. We go on vacation, give her a shower, take care, everything all day long. I have no problem. And she knows her daddy loves her today. But what something were to happen to me, and I don't have somebody assigned to take care of her as much as I do, want to take care of her. So it's that. It's knowing that, okay, what can I put in? I guess maybe I can just advise, look at something you can get and create, because we all go to Starbucks every day, right? Some of us eat at McDonald's, right? Every day. So that's like $6, $6 a day. If you say, let's say you go to Starbucks 3 times a week and you spend $6 or $10, and you put that $30 to $90 and you go create $1 million insurance policy, right? You just set up a thing where your legacy is behind you and your kids can have something to whoever you want to assign it. It may not even be your kids. It may be a cost you have, right? It may be, a foundation that you want to be part of. You know, it's just allocating it where it goes, where you want it to go, as opposed to people forcing it to go where you don't want. So that's the key behind this. And I think especially in our community, that we need to be aware of that and set up our lifestyle to match that. All right, so thank you all for coming. Really appreciate you all coming on. If you need an attorney, give me a call. I would be glad to direct you to one. I always like to hear the case and see the right attorney, because I do have some attorney that can move faster in some area, and some people, they don't have money up front, and but there's another attorney that will allow the case to go on and then have the court settle them at the case, you know, whatever probate issue that may be. All right. Okay. My assistant will come on. Everybody that's on, either on Zoom, on our Facebook Live, let's see who wins the Costco gift card. Thank you.